and welcome to another episode of Todd Talk. Because when Todd talks, people listen. Hopefully. A very special video today, because it's actually the first time we're going to be debuting this on not only YouTube, but also VidMe via the outerhaven.net, which is a site I work for on the side. And I want to thank my boss Keith for suggesting we put him on here. I hope we can get more views and I can get more interaction with you, the fans, because I love Death Battle and I hope you do too. So today we are doing the prediction for the upcoming death battle of Natsu Dragneel versus Portgas D, or How I Learned to Stop Whining and Just Love the Fire. Yeah, if you haven't seen the previews yet, definitely go check them out, because this is a fire battle. This is a fire fight. This is a fire war. A flame war. There we go. A flame war. This is a burning battle. I could go fire puns all day long. And I probably will. An incendiary... No, well, I could say incendiary encounter, but that's an I and an E. So it doesn't really work. But anyway. So, yeah. This is a very interesting fight, because both Natsu and Ace are fire wielders, albeit in very different ways. And this is actually the second of the Fairy Tail versus One Piece matchups. Last year we had a Roronoa versus Urza Scarlet, which was actually, my prediction video was actually the most watched one I've had on YouTube, with over like 1,100 views. I still don't know why it had that, but okay. So yeah, I'm very intrigued for this one, especially since I made sure to do as much research as I could on this, because apparently when I did Zoro versus Urza, I picked Urza because I thought her magic and her armor was stronger, and then I missed a key part of Zoro's backstory with the Haki, and I chose wrong because of that. So I'm trying to make sure I don't do that here. So, where should we start? Let's start with Ace. He's kind of fun. So Ace is the son of the most legendary pirate in the One Piece universe, Gold de Ace. He is already incredibly strong and incredibly endurant, and then he gets the devil fruit, which turns him into a literal being of fire. And yeah, this is it's really cool, because his body is now a literal instrument of fiery destruction. He can literally do this and shoot fire out of his hands. He can like summon fire at will. He can transform his body into fire. It's a special kind of the devil fruit, which because there's like levels, because it's an anime. There's levels, and he's got the highest level fruit that he ate, and it lets him become fire. And this makes him not only incredibly powerful, but incredibly hard to kill, because his since his body is technically now fire, any physical damage literally goes through it, because his body is fire. And that's kind of insane, but it's also kind of freaking awesome, because it's just like, go ahead, hit me, I don't care. And then he gets hit, and like the damage does nothing. And this is why he's actually one of the most fearsome pirates on the show for a vast majority of the series. Okay, that's not true. Half of the series, because he's freaking hard to kill. I mean, he's said to be second only to a Whitebeard on the crew that he was on, and an admiral who I'll get to later showed how he was just a little bit better than Ace. But Luffy, who is the main character of the show and Ace's foster brother, has never been able to beat Ace. And if Luffy can't beat him, that's saying something. So, as I was researching, apparently his flames and his fiery fists have apparently been enough to destroy entire cities. Apparently, they didn't show that in the show, and I'll get to that in a second. But you know, he's pretty cool. Now, he did have a Haki when he was young, but he never used it afterwards. He gained knowledge of it, but he never used it. And I don't think Death Battle will use it because of that. It's one of those kind of contradictory things where it's just like, well, if they don't show it in the modern show, then how can they implement it? You know what I mean? So then you got Natsu, which is, you know, he was dead, literally. Then his brother, who's apparently the most evil person in the Fairy Tail universe, brought him back to life. But you know, now he's slightly demonic, and then they sent him off to be trained by dragons to learn how to kill dragons. while becoming friends with dragons, it's anime. Okay, it's anime, but because of this and because of his power, he was able to learn Dragon Slayer magic, which enables him to use fire in a variety of incredibly powerful ways. And between that, his training, and of course meeting and joining the Fairy Tale Guild 400 years in the future, anime. That's probably the word I use a lot most. Anime. Um, he became incredibly strong and one of the most valuable members of the guild, and for good reason, because this kid, who is, if you just look at him, he doesn't look that impressive, but he's freaking awesome. He can, summon fire, create it, manipulate it, spout it in variety of amazing attacks, from dragon breath to creating weapons with his fire to just straight up concussion impacts. This kid knows a lot. He knows a lot of spells, and he's one of the best members of the guild, at least as far as I've read, because he can do so much even without his powers. Like, he is a master of hand-to-hand combat. He has incredible speed. Like, they said that he's able to reach like far destinations within minutes when he puts his mind to it. He has heightened senses. Like, his hearing is apparently able to hear like low conversations from like a long distance away, and that could actually be a key factor in this battle. He's incredibly endurant. He's great stamina. He's actually smarter than people give him credit for, because he's very, very reckless, and he loves to fight, which is not a bad thing. But because of his battles experience, again, he's technically 400 years old. Anime. There you go. I did it again. He knows how to beat people. He's actually outsmarted people, even though people thought he could, because he's so reckless. So he's actually a rather smart individual. And then, as if he couldn't get any more strong, he's also has the ability to use lightning in his attacks. So he now has fire and lightning, and he also has demon magic. Say it with me, folks. Anime! So this is a very interesting matchup. So the question becomes, how does a person who is made of fire beat a person who can create fire himself and, manipulate it? Well, here's the key thing. A couple key things, actually. Number one, Natsu as Dragon Slayer and, part demonic dragon. He has the ability to absorb fire, as long as it's not the one he creates. So, for example, if he does his dragon breath attack, he can't absorb that. But if someone, like, say, dodged that attack and then shot fire at him, he can absorb that. And what that does is it helps replenish his magic supply, revitalizes his body, and even makes him stronger. And so, Ace is literal fire. So couldn't he absorb him? That's honestly the running theory I've been hitting a lot with a lot of the One Piece fans, is that Ace is strong, but if Natsu literally absorbs him, doesn't he technically die? It's unclear, and I'm very interested in seeing how this goes. The other key thing is that both sides have a particular weakness that could, in potential, be exploited. Now, both Natsu and Ace are immune to fire attacks, which is why this battle is very, very interesting. But that doesn't mean that they're immune to damage from fire. Let me explain. Part of what makes Natsu so special is obviously his magic, which is inside, But as we saw with Urza, magic has a limit. And if that magic fails, then Natsu is in trouble. So in theory, Ace could weaken or withstand Natsu long enough to drain his magic, and throughout the process of attacks and battling and all that, and then deal a damaging blow, a fatal blow, and win. In contrast, though, Portgas D has actually died, and he died in the One Piece cartoon via Admiral Anaini, Anakini. I apologize if I got that wrong. It was like Anaini, Akaini, something like that. What happened was that he was fighting with Luffy. He was fighting alongside Luffy, and they were trying to get away. And then the Akaini, I was going to call him that for now, decided to insult his foster father, Whitebeard, which Portgas wouldn't stand for. And so he fought him again. But the problem was that the Admiral had magma powers, and magma is hotter than fire. And I know there's like some debate about whether he wanted to take the hit or he wanted just to, he did it because he had to protect Luffy. But the problem here is that the Devil Fruit specifically makes him fire. And if he can get hurt in any instance, like he got hurt here, that means it's a weakness. And so the question is, since magma in the One Piece universe is hotter than fire, does Natsu have something that's hot enough to beat Ace, or to burn Ace, melt him, or however you want to define it? And I think he does, because he has lightning magic, which is awesome, for the record. But it's specifically stated that his lightning powers is a fusion of him and his fire, which could make it hotter than regular fire, which could, in potential, totally wipe out Ace. And this is, of course, completely ignoring the fact that, again, Natsu can absorb fire. So at any point that Natsu sends out that Ace sends out a second Natsu can absorb it. See, I almost hesitate to pick a fighter here, because the problem with One Piece and Fairy Tail is that, as Death Battle's noted numerous times, they're very, very long. And even though Portgas has only technically been in a handful of episodes, or so I'm told, and Natsu's a main character and thus has been viewed more, that doesn't mean that one is greater than the other. It was different when it was Roronoa Zoro and Urza, because they're both main characters. They both had very focused stories, and all the episodes helped build them up. And so that was different. But with this, it's a little different. But I'm gonna have to go with Natsu, because Natsu can absorb fire, which makes him stronger. It's stated that his flame's intensity can actually get stronger the angrier he gets, which means the temperature goes up. It's specifically stated that the temperature of his flame goes up the angrier he gets. And since this fight will no doubt make him angry, and he's going to want to beat the fire out of Ace, it could get hot enough to where it's like magma. And I feel that, though Ace has the potential to annihilate cities, they've never shown that. It's just said, oh yeah, he could have annihilated cities. Well, so what? If you don't show it, it can't mean anything. Okay? And Death Battle is specifically about feats. Now, Natsu, on the other hand, we've seen his fire, melt metal, which just shows how hot that was getting. And, again, his lightning fusion makes him incredibly powerful. And even though it, at one time, would totally drain him of his energy, he unlocked his second origin, which made him more endurant, which is already an incredible feat. And so, yeah. So add that to his heightened senses, his incredible speed, his incredible strength, which, of course, Ace does have great strength. He doesn't say he has speed, though. So that might be another thing you might have to look out for. But Natsu has great strength, great speed, great reflexes, which could be another good thing, great senses. I think I said that twice. I apologize. Plus his endurance, plus his ability to absorb fire to heal himself. See, that can't be stated enough. If at any point Ace sends an attack on Natsu can just absorb it and then get better and then attack once again. So eventually, Ace is just going to get fed up, turn into this fire, and then Natsu's just going to straight up absorb him. And I know there's some people being like, wait a minute, doesn't that mean that he could technically just reform inside of Natsu and kill him? Well, technically, maybe, but here's the problem. If you saw the Death Battle preview, when Natsu absorbs the fire, his body expands. Anime. And so if by that logic, he could expand, but he's still now living inside of Natsu's body as fire, and we did. This may be one of those weird things that that Death Battle has to deal with. But it's just like I see no reason to think that Ace would be conscious enough to reform his body. And if anything, imagine that Natsu does a punch, his arm turns to fire, Natsu absorbs that, his arm doesn't regenerate. At least not to my knowledge, his arm doesn't regenerate. I mean, I guess he has never faced a person like Natsu, so I don't know. But my pick, I'm going Fairy Tail once again. I think I've got it right this time. I am going Natsu Dragneel to beat Portgas D. So there you go. Again, I think it's gonna be a fun fight because the last 2D fight, which was Bane and Venom, was actually really, really good, even though I sadly picked it wrong. Curse my DC pride. But they've got voice actors again for this. One of them is from Ruby, which makes me really happy. I actually got to meet Yang from Ruby at a C2E2 recently. She was really, really nice. Sorry, I was just thinking about it. So they're really going full force on this, and this has been a very popular fan suggestion. So I think they're really going to do it well, and I just hope I pick it right. So again, my pick, Natsu Dragneel. So with that, I will end this 46th episode of Todd Talk. Who do you think is going to win between Natsu Dragneel and Portgas D? Do you think I'm right? Do you think I'm wrong? If you do think I'm wrong, please tell me why, because I do wish to try and do better with my research. So, and I do feel I did good on this one, but you never know. So, again, leave your comments below, and I'll let you know next week when I have my reaction video up. So, thank you for watching. If you made it this far, I know you were listening, and I will see you around. Anime!